Tea time with librarians. Welcome everyone to Tea Time with Librarians. My name is Lacey Klemm and I'm the Northwest Regional Coordinator for the Indiana State Library. And our guest today is Kate McGinn, also from the State Library. Kate, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be a part of Tea Time with Librarian.
Are you ready to spill some tea?
Most of my tea happened 400 years ago, but I'm happy to spill all of it. Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. So to start, please let us know what your position is at ISL and give a brief description of what you do.
Okay. At the State Library, we have several public services divisions. There's genealogy, there's Indiana, and there's reference. So I'm a reference librarian in the reference division. But when y'all write in and use chat or lib answers, you could be talking to anyone in genealogy, reference, or Indiana. And so we also have manuscripts and rare books, but they're not on the they're not on the chats and things. So I am a reference librarian in the reference division.
Awesome.
And before that, I worked in Talking Book as a reader advisor here at the State Library.
I was a reference librarian before I came to the state library, so I always say that I'm a reference librarian at heart. So I'm very excited.
I am too. It's a great job. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is one aspect of your job that you found surprising?
You know, I guess the thing I would have to say is the enormity of the general collection. If you've been to the State Library and you've been into the stacks, it's 7 stories high, and most of that is general collection material, and we'll get to that later, I know. But the other thing I would say that has surprised me and delighted me is the diversity of things I get to do. I came to the State Library after being an archivist for 20 years, so I still like working with the physical collection. I get to do stacks maintenance. I get to make boxes. I get to rearrange things to make them even more perfect. I get to write. I get to work with every level of question. You know, can you tell me how to log into something? Can you help me figure out how to use this medical device I got? And then very detailed research questions. So I would say it's the variety that has surprised and delighted me the most.
So I do have a question.
Ask away.
When I got a tour of the state library, I was actually on a tour that did like 5 different locations, and you were our tour guide, which was amazing. But
Thank you.
we got to go into the stacks.
That's right.
When you give tours to like the regular, like to like the public, do they get to see that too, or is that just kind of a special occasion type thing? Because that was really cool to
It
go and
is
see those.
cool. And anyone who comes on a tour of the State Library, one of the first things I told them, and I hope I told this to your group, Lacey, is our mandate is to serve the people of Indiana. This collection is your collection. There isn't anything in it that you can't hold or use. We might have to pull it for you. You might have to sit with someone there watching, but it's your collection. So when you come to tour the State Library, there isn't any area that you can't see and that I don't prevent you from seeing. And I mean, I hope more people will come take the tour. It's an amazing building. And I'm not even sure on your tour that we got to go to the PD room, which was one of my favorite rooms. Did we go where all of the federal documents before 1966 are housed?
I am not sure. I think so. I know I did. I don't think we went to Talking Books though. I don't think I
That's
was able to see that, but it really is. And I will take the tour anytime I go because I feel like you learn something different each time that you are on it because like you said, the history of the building is just incredible.
it is. And every time patrons come through, you know, we learn more about the collection because patrons ask us about the collection. We'll come across a book we didn't even know we had because there's so many. And then a patron asks for a collection, and you're like, wow, I didn't know we had the second edition of Linnaeus's Origin of the Species or Plants or whatever. So please,
Hmm.
everyone who wants to come take a tour, we'll learn from it, and we hope you'll learn from it as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I encourage everybody to come and take one because it really is just very cool.
it is.
Especially, and I don't like with the stacks that's kind of I especially for a librarian. I'm like that's just really exciting to see.
It is. It is. I
And
agree.
I'm like, how is this even in the building? You wouldn't even know that that is there.
I know.
So,
And it's 7 stories when the exterior is 4 stories. You get to ride the scary elevator if you want to. All worth it. Yes,
yes,
definitely. Yeah,
it's pretty incredible. So, definitely encourage people to do that.
good.
So what ISL library collections would you like for Indiana libraries to know more about?
Well, first of I'm sort of tasked with the general collection. So it's the one I want to talk about today. In some ways, I think it's the least known because it's not tied specifically to Indiana. And so I kind of brought some props, if you will.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I thought so. It's 7 stories, and I'm kind of doing a walkthrough of it, trying to get a sense of what to do with the newspapers that are in it. Are there things that are rare and should be moved to the cage, which is where we have our rare books? And so I was walking through yesterday, and I pulled a few examples of things you find when you walk through the general collection. You may not need it, but we do have a book on judo. We
Okay.
have hundreds of books on judo. They are not all current, but some are quite interesting and historical. We have um, we have a lot of material related to the early days of the Republic and colonial history. And this one by Alice Moore Earle. She became known as a pretty popular historian at the turn of the last century. And what I like about her writing is she didn't feel the need to be objective. And so this one is about the costumes worn in colonial times, and she'll describe a saffron coat and azure slacks and a beaver hat. And then she'll say he may have felt he looked good, but one can only assume he looked like a bit of a peacock in his surroundings. So the books are fun to read, not always, you know, as they should be. But so we have a lot of things in paper that are waiting to be addressed, maybe boxed.
Okay.
Then I was helping a patron and we came across, they wanted to know about games. So this is festival games and amusements in the 1800s and 1700s. And
Wow.
all of these things occur in the United States and occur in Indiana, but they are not specific to Indiana. And that's how the general collection differs. And then you didn't get to go to Talking Book, but I pulled one anyway. So I could make a little pitch for Talking Book. I hope everyone watching this already knows about it, but I do love the program. And many of you librarians know you can get these large type books, large print books at your library. I think it's like 50 at a time, and they change them out every few months. But this one I thought is interesting because you see the Rag-a-Shag cover. Doesn't look too good. But this is actually the book I'm reading right now, Josephine Tay's Daughter of Time. I'm reading it on my Libby app, but I thought, hey, a way to
Yeah.
a way to push Talking Book. So I go through the collection. I look at books. I use them to answer patron queries, and I'm trying to get the word out about the collection. So I post on social media a few times a month. I don't know. Do you go to our Facebook page or our Instagram? I do not use social media, so I can't say I go, but like
I actually follow, yes, on
you
both
do.
yes. Mhm.
Okay.
So I do see some of the posts like from John and so then
Right.
I'm sure I'm seeing some of your posts then.
You are. And my most recent one was about the Marquis de Lafayette's visit to Indiana in 1825. They're having the 200th celebration across the country. And we, of course, have many accounts of his voyage in the United States and some thoughts on his place where he was entertained in Indiana. Doesn't look fancy. I understand it's gone now.
Oh
But this
no.
is This is where he was entertained. And then I'm trying to get word out of the general collection in the Wednesday Word. And I've come up, this is a book plate you see regularly in our collection. And in the Wednesday Word, every few weeks, if you see this book plate, I'm featuring a book from the general collection. And so to date, most of them have been historical, um, because I'm trying to tie it to something relevant, and the preponderance of information we have before 1875 is nonfiction. So most of the posts are historical or nonfiction, literary sometimes. But so Ex Libris means it's a general collection. So please read it and please be excited about it. Yeah.
I also encourage everybody to subscribe to the Wednesday Word because you get a lot of valuable information out of there. So if you're not subscribed, I would say subscribe.
Please do, because I just got 2 questions yesterday when I was on the reference desk from librarians who are interested in that program with DNR, where you can get passes from DNR, they laminate them, and then patrons can check them out of your library.
Oh, okay.
All kind of information in the Wednesday Word that we don't necessarily know about until we read the Wednesday Word. So yes,
Yeah.
I too encourage people to take a look at it. It's worth looking at. Yeah. So I go through the collection, and I will say this excites me probably more than anyone else in the library. We got a box maker. So when I find a book in the general collection that needs a little attention, if I have the time, if I clear it with the conservator, if it works out, I get to make a box for it. Have you ever made a box, Lacey?
I have not, and that is exciting. I didn't even know that there was something a box maker. That's awesome.
It is, and to anyone out there who's made a box, you know it can take an hour and a half. With the box maker, this takes 3 minutes. So
Wow.
yeah, this will only excite anyone who's made a box by hand, but they'll be thrilled. Yeah.
Yes.
And then another outreach program I'm working on is I talked to another regional coordinator, Meg, and we were talking about ways to boost the general collection and whatnot. And we came up, I thought, why don't we create Suzanne, our young readers librarian, and does a lot with her skate kits that have become popular. And I thought, why don't we develop a mystery kit that libraries can check out or download relevant to our collection? So I'm working on one right now, and it's based on the death of Helen Nabe. She was a very famous, no, she wasn't famous. She was a very well-regarded female physician in Indianapolis in the beginning of the 1900s, and she was murdered. And she was not treated very well after
Wow.
she was murdered. So I thought it would be a good way to kind of marry our collection to a popular activity. So that's some of the outreach I'm doing with the general collection. And it's the one I want people to know about the most because it's the one I'm tasked with. Yeah. So please ask me questions about it.
For the general collection, are is that like donations or do you purchase books for your general collection or how does your collection development work for that?
That's actually a great question, and thank you for asking it. The general collection, for the most part, is closed. If someone donates a very current book that we think someone might use if they just walk in, we have a browsing collection. I'm going to kind of lift this up and see if I'm going to point you over there. Tell me if you
Okay.
can see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the browsing collection. That is the one place in the library where someone can walk in, pull something off a shelf, read it, and check it out. So once in a blue moon, someone donates something, or even a librarian reads something and donates it. That's the one place we're active in the general collection. We
Okay.
might, if someone calls us to donate something, we might look and see if it's better than the copy we have in the general collection and replace it, but it is not an active collection. That said, all of the others are Indiana, genealogy, rare books and manuscripts. They all collect material if it fits the collection policy. And Lacey, do you ever talk about, has anyone talked about us being a federal repository, all of the federal documents we have? Is that something that's,
Um, no, actually, I that is something good to bring up because like I think I knew that we were a federal depository, but I don't know a lot about it. So yeah, that I think libraries would be interested in knowing a little bit more about that if you're able to speak on it.
I will speak briefly because we have two librarians who work closely with the material. We have Brent Abercrombie. He's our our Fed Docs librarian, and he would be a good person for you to tap for a tea time. But so in the early days of the Republic, the founders said it was necessary to be transparent, to let folks know what the government was saying. So from the earliest days, the idea was that they would disseminate knowledge. So the congressional serial said anything that was published and done in Congress or any of the branches went out to the states. So we have congressional serial sets from the early 1810s, 1815, around there. And since then, materials come into our library because we're the state depository. So we have Smithsonian reports, we have narratives of displaced people, war material, science, railroad, Bureau of Mine reports. If it was a federal document, we have it. And believe me, there isn't anything the federal government didn't talk about. Then we also have Katie Springer, and she works primarily with census and data material. So these are great resources for people who say you're working on a grant and you need demographic information. Say you've got students who want primary source material for a National History Day or a science event. Brent or Katie would be great contacts for that kind of information. Yeah.
I wish I would have known about Katie when I was working at East Chicago and helping with grants because that would have been very
I
helpful.
know, really useful. And she can point you to all these great resources around the state that you can just go into on your own and ask questions and get maps. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, and actually, when we have DIY this year, we are going to have a Indiana State Library panel, and Brent is going to be on that panel to talk more about the federal depository. So yeah, I'm excited about that because I don't. I've been in libraries for about 20 years now, and I still don't know everything that the Indiana State Library does, even now working here. So it's I know way more now, but I was like, wow, I wish I would have known more than when I was in the public libraries because yeah, there's just so much information here that is helpful.
We keep discovering new stuff too. Yes. And then I should, just to compliment, in the Indiana division, there's also a state document librarian, Andrea Glenn. So we have a federal document and then a state document librarian. So they should be able to answer any question you have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did have one more question about the general collection. What was it? Oh, one thing that I found interesting when I came to the state library to do some research for a blog post that I was doing, I didn't realize that, you only had that small browsing collection and then the rest of the collection was in those stacks that you did have to, go to the librarian and ask them to pull it. So, that was a little bit different. I guess it just never really that, oh yeah, there's not a ton of books anywhere.
Right.
But
That's
where
right.
are they? And no, they're in those stacks that we don't see. So
That is right. So if any of you want to come use the library, if you can let us know in advance what you want to use, we'll pull it and have it ready for you so you don't have to wait for it to be paged. And thank you for saying that because I did misspeak a wee bit. Just beyond the browsing room is a young reader center, and those books on the shelf can be pulled off and some of them can be checked out. And those are that's the other place where you could actually pull a book off a shelf and read it. Yeah, and we have some newspapers still, though that's going digital more and more. And just to go back to the federal document program, I think last year they had, I I can't even remember how many hits they had on their web pages, but it was a tremendous amount. So they have gone digital. So librarians should look for information at GovInfo more and more too for federal docs.
That's
Yeah.
good to know that
Yeah,
that that's a good place to go to find a lot of that stuff as well. So,
that's right.
um, the next question, I think you kind of actually covered it a little bit, but are you currently working on any projects that you would like to share with us today? I don't know if you want to talk more about like your mystery kit, or if there's any other projects that you are working on, but I find that the mystery one, that's exciting. That's gonna be fun.
It is. The hope Meg had a lot of great ideas. She used to do them at one of her I can't remember which public library she did it with, but I met with her and she was terrific and amazing. So we want it to be where almost everything can be downloaded, even if it's, a book cover to use in your collection or props or whatever, so that anyone can do the kit without having to spend money more than just printing. And it's in the early stages, so I hope to have it done by the end of the year. And then, of course, we'll have to test it. So anyone out there who wants to be tested in murder, send me an email. Yeah. But I think we're always looking for new ways. Like we just have such a great collection. We did an exhibit um, I did on just the dissemination of language from the Bible because we have so many Bibles in our collection. And I think it'd be nice maybe to expand it to sacred text or scripture and maybe align something with National Prayer Day or something, just so folks can see the diversity of what we have. And of course, if someone is watching this and they have a great idea, please share it with me. Be happy to have you help me and put something out there because there is a lot to it and it's just not always Indiana specific. So that's the challenge sometimes. Yeah. Because, most of our requests tend to be toward Indiana. Yeah.
Which makes sense, I guess.
Well,
But
sure. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's good to know that there are books in the collection that aren't just Indiana specific and and I do know that the state library does evergreen, correct? So like are libraries that are in the evergreen, are they able to request books to be sent to them, or is it they still have to come to the state library to be able to get it?
Evergreen is part of the interlibrary loan. Yeah, we are a part of that. It's just we probably have more restrictions. If a book is older than it's a copyright is, I mean, the pub date is before 1950. There's a good chance it won't circulate if it's something rare. Um, so we are part of it. And of course, a lot of the requests are to Talking Book for the large print books, but we are part of the Evergreen Network and you can request through interlibrary loan. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good to know. I knew like with the talking books, obviously, that those did go out, but I wasn't sure about the other collection, if that was a possibility for other evergreen libraries to request those and have those sent to them. So
It
that's good to
is.
know.
And Fed docs are sometimes requested through Evergreen as well. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And the last question, which I think you talked a little about this as well, but what are you reading or listening to right now?
I have a confession to make. I've never listened to a podcast. So I know that makes me a lesser being. But I just finished Madeline Miller's Song of Achilles, which I loved. It's based on something from the Iliad that she sort of took it and ran with. Achilles' relationship with someone whose name I'm going to mangle, Patroclus, I think. But that was excellent. And now I'm reading Josephine Tay's Daughter of Time. It is supposed to be one of the best historical mysteries ever written. And it was written in 1951, and I'm only getting to it now. But it like wins awards for best historical mystery, best mystery. and I don't know anything about it. I'm on page 4. Someone's in
Okay.
the hospital. Right, someone's in the hospital and he's bored. I can tell you that much about it. Yeah, yeah. But it's so far,
Um,
those 4 pages are good. Yeah, yeah.
well, I think that's what's great about books is that, even the older ones, they either get reprinted or get new life in, ebook or whatever, and it's just you just rediscover it and you're like, oh, this is this book and you're like, that's not new, but it's still
It's
it's
true,
great.
Lacey. There are already 3 people waiting for me to finish it on Libby. Yeah. So long live good stories, right?
Or they're made into, a movie or television show, and then they make a whole new, and I'm like, "Ugh, I gotta buy all these books again." They're like becoming popular again. I'm like, okay.
I wait till you're my age. You think, yeah, I read it. I just don't remember it. Yeah,
Well, then
yeah,
it's like reading a whole new book.
exactly. Until you get 3/4 in and then you remember the ending. Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
oh.
right.
But that's
Yeah.
what's great about. I don't listen to too many podcasts either, but I have got into audiobooks in the past year since I travel with this
Hmm.
job to the different libraries. So I listen to books as I travel, and my husband and I just went over the weekend to Columbus, Ohio for a music festival, and so we listened to. He's read all these crawler Carl books, and he's
Okay.
like he's really wanted me to read them, and I haven't. So we listened to the first book, and now I'm hooked, and I'm on to the second book right now. So
When you listen to the books, because when I worked with Talking Book, I thought, okay, I'm going to listen to a book. So for our patrons, I'll have a sense of how it works. But I found it very stressful because something would happen and I'd miss 2 words and I'd have to back it up because I thought they might be important words. So I found the whole endeavor very stressful. So I just stepped away from it. Yeah.
I get that. I tried it a few years ago, and yeah, like if I was driving and listening and something was going on, like I'd be like all over the place because I'd be like, what's going? And so I stopped, and it really does depend a lot on the narrator for me. If it's not a good narrator, I can't listen. I'm really into graphic audio, which is like a movie in your mind. It's got several different voice actors, and you hear like the rain falling, and
Oh,
it
wow.
really is um
Nice.
and those are fun, but I do understand with some of the books that are a little more heavy and you have to like really pay attention, and if you're wandering, my mind sometimes wanders. I'm like, wait, what did I miss?
Right.
Because
That's right. I tried to do it when I was gardening. It's like, oh no, no. Yeah, I found it very stressful. So now I just go back to the old way. Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
now
like
I have a hard time now just sitting down and reading a book. It's really weird. My mind's like like you need to be doing something as you're reading. I'm like, no, I just want to sit down and enjoy the
that.
book and read the book. And I'm having a hard time with that now, but
Well, yeah, these immersive experiences. Who wants to just go back to black on white? Yeah.
so, but
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with us here today. And I feel like we were able to kind of give a lot of good information about what the general collection is, and hopefully uh people will kind of check it out a little bit more.
I hope they will. Thanks a lot for including me, Lacey. And hey, next time you're here, drop by. We'll go on a whole different kind of tour if you want. Okay.
Woo, yay.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.